before the show, somebody sent me a link to Stuttering John's new podcast.
Right.
I was laughing my ass off for all the wrong reasons. He
It's a new podcast?
Yeah.
How many podcasts does he
Episode
have?
one.
No, exactly.
Episode 1 of the new Stuttering John
Has he
podcast.
reinvented himself again?
I don't know what he's doing. It was so funny. Like within a minute, he starts ragging on us.
Sure, of course.
Yeah.
Within a minute, he's talking up how great of a stand-up comic he is.
Of course.
And
Because no one else is.
his delivery is this monotone droning. It sounds like you're listening to a model airplane.
Yeah.
It's just meh. There's no personality.
One time he had a joke where he goes, I'm a Puerto Rican and Danish. I'm Danish, I'm a spick, I'm a dick. That was a joke he had.
By the way, I know, I heard it.
That's right.
So he didn't change in 30 years.
I don't think he would want to get rid of that one.
We told Howard we were going to bring in the audio of his stand-up. And I told Scott the engineer to edit that where he just goes up and says, I'm a dick.
Nice.
It was a whole setup.
Bunch of scumbags.
You hear I'm a dick and people laugh like they're agreeing with you.
Fuck you, you got cancer.
Maybe that's why he's trying to do so many podcasts. Because if he just overwhelms you with the sheer number of podcasts he does, it'll be 9 out of 10 podcasts like his act.
Maybe that's it.
Yeah.
I don't see. I think he's doing a podcast, and then he does another one that's no different than the other one he's doing. I don't care how many podcasts you do. If no one's listening to the one, they're not just going to – you got to maybe do something different. Do you have that? Oh, great.
After I did Conan, how come I got on Conan? I'm like, because you do jokes about Gary's teeth.
You're playing my material. I'm gonna lawsuit.
Welcome to the Stuttering John Podcast.
Holy
He announces
Hello,
himself.
everybody. Yes,
Well,
I
he
am
was
back.
on the Tonight Show.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe, but I finally figured out how to do this without a producer. And I could do it from my own, alone in my own home. How
This
great
is his
that?
delivery, the whole-
Soon I'll start taking phone calls
I'm
as
pissed
soon
off.
as I learn
I'm
how to
pissed
do
off that he has a
that.
home.
It's
But
a
at least I'm finally
podcast
up
How
and
is he
running
affording
here
any of this?
from
at
one of
the
those pods that you
Stuttering
rent
John
in the
Melendez
driveway.
recording studio.
Literally a
which is better
podcast.
known as my spacious living room.
This is like a POW
Anyway,
getting
how is
prepared
everybody
remarks.
doing? It has been quite some time.
He's
since I've
blinking
talked to
SOS.
you.
But
We are
And I
being
hope
treated
that you
fairly
start
and
telling your
humanely.
friends that I'm
Yeah,
up
it's like
and running
the kid they
again.
killed in North
Start
Korea.
getting people to come and download
You've
the
got to stop
podcast
treating
while
North Korea
you're
so
driving,
terrible.
while you're hanging out at home. Well, I just got back from Fairview Heights, Illinois, headlining Hey Guys Comedy Club.
What is that
Had a great
affect he
time
puts on?
there.
What?
yeah, what
Did
is
a
it?
great
He's
job,
trying to
if
do
I
a
may say
voice.
So myself, got a lot of laughs, made a lot of people roar with laughter, as opposed to what you might hear from a certain two nudniks on
Within
not
a
so
minute.
viewed
That's wow.
Well, at least
video
we're playing it here.
podcast.
Someone's going to hear it.
Yeah.
But
And he hits you with the
they
N-word.
Obviously,
Yeah,
don't
Nudnik.
realize that, yes, I am a hell of a stand-up, and that's why I make decent money and make a living doing stand-up right now. Although I did get my advance for my book. My book comes out October 16th.
Why would anyone
I'm
listen
sure
to
you
this?
guys are going to love it.
I don't understand.
I
just
was thinking the
finished
same
my
thing when I
chapter
was listening to it.
in
I was
St.
just like,
Tennyson.
what is he doing?
Yeah.
In the
got to hang out
demographic,
with
people
Sam
named
White.
Melendez. He's not doing,
Frequently.
he's not doing well.
He's number one.
Please, he's probably about number 32
Yeah,
in the
that's-
Melendez.
In the demographic, people who want to know exactly where Stuttering John is at all times. The loan shark shows money to. Are not watching.
I mean, if you're going to listen to a podcast that's a person bragging, I don't think that's the one you start.
My royalty. I've gotten
How about
my
I'll leave
advance from my book.
Yeah, you want to hear maybe Don King, you'd listen to him.
Right? Make it interesting.
He talks about his book a little bit.
Well, again,
And alcohol.
I said, what's going to be in your
And,
book? Like, you know,
Sam was a great
It's-
guy.
it's just insanely boring stories about this. Like, there's no smoking gun with Howard. Believe me. There's like, you're not going to walk out of him fucking a stripper.
That's
I
true.
never saw any of that.
No smoking
So
gun.
why would you, it's the one famous guy knows. What the fuck's a book company going to want to know?
Yeah.
What does he say about the book?
It's going to going to be very revealing, very interesting. Yeah. I think that most people are going to enjoy it.
Oh, I'm on the back of my seat.
I don't think Howard and Baba Booey are going to enjoy it because I do happen to call out a few things that I felt a little.
Like
you know, it's,
no, we don't. We don't even care.
Things
he's going to point out where Gary's right about stuff.
That's right. That's what me and Gary used to call the Stern Show. We used to call it the Firm because between Howard and Buchwald, Tom Buchwald is the biggest piece of shit known to man.
Make another
between
big enemy.
those two, it was like the Firm. It's like
he's the Kevin Brennan of boring people.
If you leave, you get beaten up.
Burning bridge.
Kevin Brennan.
Tunnels.
I think we can only hope the audiobook is as read by the author.
Oh,
That's where
please.
We can hope and pray.
It takes
Please.
4 years. 4 years. Yeah, we're 2 hours in. John's on the dedication.
So, Ant, when you saw him at the brokerage, when you left, did your face hurt from feigning laughter?
Yeah, because he kept looking. It was weird because he kept looking over. Because I always sit way on the side.
Well, there's one person in the audience, you can see them.
Yeah. So he kept looking over, and I was like, oh, I'm kind of laughing. My buddy Joe Curry was sitting at a table just next to me, and I was up on kind of a elevated thing.
Landing there.
And Joe's head was turned around, and every time I would look at John, I could see Joe, and Joe would be like this. He's like, oh, just making like, faces.
When they were rolling, their eyes.
And by the way, as listeners of the show know, Joe Curry, one of the kindest, most generous
laughers.
Absolutely.
Like he'll laugh just to help you out.
He's a nice guy. He's really humble about the business and everything. And he's kind of looking like, oh, Jesus fucking Christ.
The John thing is like, again, thank God he thinks differently than everyone else because he'd be suicidal if he didn't. There's a lot of comics, like I say, they bomb and they get off like it's Carlin's Carnegie Hall.
Yeah, true. The back of the book about who wrote it. Oh my God, fucking John! He never ceases to amaze. We're nudniks, apparently. So.
Well, there's worse to be called.
There really is. That is true.
So the Uber drivers go, these nudniks.
So we'll keep tabs on that whole thing.
That's going to be our Magic Johnson show.
I felt so bad because people started sending me the reviews.
What is he reading any of them?
They were just terrible.
Brutal.
Like, this is hard. And it wasn't like fans of this show or anything saying. There was one girl was like, this is terrible, and I was a Stern fan, I was a fan. But I don't know what he thinks. The first 5 minutes, he's going to grab the people by telling how good he is,
right,
and how bad we are. Even big Stern.
One of the absolute podcasts. Okay.
One of the absolute worst podcasts.
Wait a minute. She liked it. She put one big star next to it.
Oh, there you go. Happy to hear you back on, bro.
It's not that big.
Yeah, but listen for sure.
It's a little rough around the edges.
A little rough around the edges.
Now, the 5-star review sounds like he hasn't listened to it yet.
A little rough around the edges, like the hole in the USS Arizona.
No, you're right. The guy.
A little rough,
like the fucking iceberg tear
in the Titanic.
Happy to hear you're back. Yeah, it's the guys. The guy's giving 5 stars. The idea of him getting a podcast.
Conceptually, he's on board.
Look, I'm 5 stars to John getting a podcast. No stars to the podcast.
Recent fallout with Artie Lang, but John is still just wild and all right.
I hope it works out.
Hope it works out. That's someone that started a podcast or has terminal cancer. Yeah. I hope it works out.
Yeah.
Hope something happens for you.
The worst bedside manner doctor ever. Listen, I hope this works out.
I think it's going to be a very influential podcast.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it will inspire several other podcasts by John.
Ernie Kovacs of podcasts.
Yes.
Yeah. Many other podcasts by John. Yeah.
I heard some scuttlebutt. You guys are actually changing the name of this show to Nudniks with Attitude.
Nudniks.
The NWA show.
Nudniks with Attitudes.
Yeah. Eazy-E, by the way, joined a band in Hell. And it's the same NWA, but the A is different. The A is AIDS.
Must be mentally ill. The presumption that anyone would be interested in this has been, never was showbiz career is the only thing remotely laughable about his latest comedy podcast. All he does is complain about people who screwed him over while taking zero personal responsibility. It's exhausting to listen to. He gripes. His gripes are so specific, you would actually need to be Stuttering John.
Oh, shit.
Oh, this guy is great.
It's like that guy in the alley that time.
Oh, God. Bad, though. If you like hack jokes delivered with gusto by a passive-aggressive alcoholic, this show's for you.
Why don't I just hang out with my dad?
Yeah. Now, I'm going to have to disagree with this so far.
I got to read the rest. This is great. I feel so bad for John's in-studio producer and his partners at Imagination Road. Who actually put money into this abortion.
It's called the Green Mile.
Hey, John, if you read this, answer the question. If your Senate run was all a joke, why do you have an active donate button on your Melendez for Senate website? Wouldn't soliciting funds for a bogus election Senate bid be considered fraud? Wow. Maybe you're a born politician after all.
John better be careful.
Yeah.
One out of one listeners found this review helpful.
Yeah.